Tony D and Little Joan in the background somewhere. And this is a screenwriter's rant on Rustin, starring Chris Rock and Coleman Domingo as Coleman is the guy who helped organize the March on Washington for MLK, where he said, I have a dream. That speech. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 12. Available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. Executive producers Barack and Michelle Obama. It's a movie about civil rights. We've seen this before. They're trying to do a new angle on it to focus on Rustin, who was openly gay. He was arrested in the 50s for having sex with a man and had to register as a sex offender and fought in the gay rights movement after the civil rights movement. So it's about the controversies of him being involved in the civil rights movement at that time with King. And he was still very capable and organized the March on Washington, which was very successful. So, probably the most successful thing King ever did when you think about it. I mean, it's the most memorable thing. So it's about his life and what happened and the fallout. Michael Potts, Jeffrey Wright, with Jeffrey Wright and Audra McDonald, so they're not in it all that much. Story by Julian Brees, screenplay by Julian Brees and Dustin Lance Black, directed by George C. Wolfe. November 17th, PG-13 on Netflix. The only question is, how accurate is it? You know? Take too many liberties, it might be more exciting, but then you're not really telling the story. Don't take enough liberties, it could be boring, because history's kind of boring. I'm not so sure how audiences are, I get it, he's gay. Showing his relationships, I don't know how much mileage that gets you in terms of controversy anymore. It's not controversial anymore. There's so much woke stuff out. By showing that, you run the risk of everybody just sort of rolling their eyes going, oh yeah, now it's a woke version of the March from Selma or something. And it kind of is. I mean, that's what it kind of feels like. It feels like a woke version of the same dramatization we've seen a million times. MLK goes to Washington, I have a dream, the end. He seems like an interesting cat, I'll say that. He was socialist, but he also embraced a lot of pacifist, strategies. And that seemed to hold true most of his life. I didn't see anything. I didn't do that much research, but he moved on to the gay rights movement, which was pretty peaceful. The left was pretty peaceful during his era, so one could surmise that he was still a pretty peaceful guy. So kudos to him for being peaceful. I don't know about being socialist. I think that's a mistake, but at least this was a time where the left was reasonable. Maybe there's some dirt on him, like the FBI had on MLK and everybody else around him that we don't know about. That's probably not going to be in the movie. The question is, how entertaining is it going to be? For me, not that much. I mean, I grew up on these movies as a kid because the civil rights movement happened, I don't know, not very long before I was born. And then when I grew up in school, we'd hear about this all the time. It was taught. And yeah, it was good, but I don't remember Rustin specifically. They certainly didn't talk about him being gay. You could understand at that time period, the movement would have been worried about the reaction people would have had. They were more concerned about getting the civil rights movement going, not so much the gay rights. That was like down the road. So I don't know, maybe you'll see a little bit of that at the end of the movie. The first act, it's the rise and fall. The first act's going to be the rise of Rustin, who he is, where he grew up. He's gay, probably his arrest, and then he gets involved in the civil rights movement, and he becomes a star in that realm. Organizes this movement, and then, or this march, it's very successful, but despite that, maybe gets edged out of the whole movement. It doesn't sound like it from his encyclopedia entry. He went on to teach and write books, and he had a pretty successful life, I think. So, but it doesn't sound all that exciting. You know, the march is kind of exciting, I guess. There's another aspect of the march, setting up the chairs. But, you know, it's not like he's revealing, like, he fought off an assassin team to save MLK. So it's only so interesting, you know. And it's a part of history. Again, I've heard again and again and again. So it's like, maybe I'd watch it. If the movie was well paced, you know, was a tight 90 and didn't luxuriate in every moment of that time period and mostly focused on Rustin and didn't spend a lot of time on the gay scenes, sure, I'd watch it, I guess. I'm a history buff, but this is too close to home. It's like, yeah, it feels like, well, it just kind of, it's modern history. Modern history, not as interesting to me. Yeah, it's not going to be swords and castles and stuff. It's going to be guys with phones and suits going to Washington, making phone calls. This is not totally out of my era, so seeing people make phone calls and drive cars and, you know, acting like they're normal, it's not all that interesting, but, you know, there might be a few insights here that would be interesting to watch. I mean, Jeffrey Wright's pretty good performer. Chris Rock doing a serious turn. Yeah, I guess he's trying to get... I mean, it's a good move for him because the Obamas are EPs. I mean, it's an important movie simply because they're involved. But, you know what I say about EP credits. They're pretty much handed out like candy. But maybe they invested the money or helped get the money for it. My gut feeling, it's probably fine. It's probably going to end up in like local public high schools. People are going to watch it. Oh, today we're going to watch, you know, Rustin, because it's all about the civil rights movement. You know, instead of watching the one about MLK, we're going to watch it about the guy who helped set up the chairs. And see, you know, in a different angle. And, you know, the woke teachers can feel like, oh, he was gay, so he must have been better than MLK. But yeah, it looks fine. So, anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan, who went to sleep on the couch. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with some more videos. Check me out at the Cherry Street Pier in Philly on Friday for the, it's like an arts and artisans show at the Cherry Street Pier. Then on Saturday at the Berwyn, PA Vintage Flea Market. Hope to see you there. We'll see you.